Pretty darn good little Thursday right here. Prater on the ball game. 5 o'clock. Excited you guys are with us. Getting you to Arizona for Thursday night football. Seattle at Arizona immediately on KTIK when we follow Idaho Sports Talk. We still got a whole nother hour. We got Derek Schumann, the legendary Boise State tight end, NFL, Eagle High School as well, coming in. He will be honored, Prater, on the Boise State blue turf on Saturday, so we can't wait to talk to Shu about that in about 15 minutes or so. But first, this is brilliant, Prater. You did it again, man. You did it again.
What?
Yeah. You schedule, you ask Jeramiah Dickey to allow you to be a fly on his wall in regards to how he schedules future football games. And he lets you, he said he'd give you 30 minutes. He ended up giving you 90, you said. You went to Jeramiah Dickey scheduling school today, and a future column, future stories here on Idaho Sports Talk. Let's get the goods, man. How was Dickey scheduling school?
Yeah, it was good. It was nice, and I do appreciate the time. I did ask for 30 minutes. He gave me 90 minutes. I sincerely apologize to anybody that got delayed by that. I got really tired of Jeramiah Dickey over the last month, because the scheduling has obviously been an issue, and most of it is something that he inherited, and he's talked very openly about that and says, he's not judging, he's just trying to fix, and not even trying to fix, he's just trying to make sure that the schedule moving forward is the best he can. But he constantly says a phrase over and over and over again. There's a lot that goes behind the scenes that people don't understand. He's talking to me, he's talking to you, he's talking to the fans, and he's talking about all the nuances that it takes to put together a football schedule. It's not as easy as just calling up athletic director A and said, hey, you want to play football in 2 years? And I think we all understand that. I think we all know that very well. But it's changed dramatically in terms of, no longer is there this need to schedule games 6, 8, 10 years out. It's a lot closer, and the sense of urgency is a lot more part of the scheduling game. The things that we don't know about football, the conference realignment, when everything switches to the new television contracts next year, is the SEC going to play 9 games? That's eliminating 9 non-conference games or 16 non-conference games. That's going to have a trickle-down effect in all of college football. So there's a lot of nuances. And again, I appreciate Jeramiah. A lot of the stuff that he talked about was industry stuff, proprietary stuff. There's an industry website that he uses that I would love to have a password to, that you could just type in something, and a database, and a very, very complicated database. We spent a lot of time going over that database and matching up. He could type in, I want an FCS program for a home and home in 2055. And a database comes up and it shows you the teams that are available to fit that scenario. So there's a lot of fun stuff there. With that said, it's very, very complicated. So let's boil it down to 2 things today, guys, that he came out with, and I'll dive deeper into a Bronco Nation news column that I'll bang out tonight and should be available for you guys tomorrow.
Nice.
But 2 things that came up that he definitely talked about openly. He definitely talked about it in the past. He didn't break these with me. I'm not breaking any kind of news, but he's talked about playing an international game in the past. Dudes, he's serious. And he thinks he could pull it off, or he wants to pull it off, or he has potential and opportunity to pull it off as fast as 2027. The other thing that came up today, playing the same opponent twice in the same season. Oregon State and Washington State are doing that right now. Excuse me, I had to get a drink of water. They're playing each other twice in November. That's not ideal. That's not good. Boise State has a game on its schedule next year, an opening. He may have to do this. How do you feel about playing the same opponent twice in one season?
208-424-9300. You let us know. Taco Bell hotline. Are you A-okay with any of this?
The playing an opponent twice in one season thing.
That irks you, Greg?
It feels a little weird because there's so many FBS teams you can schedule. But just to clarify, Prater, is this because they need to fill a last conference game?
And I think they think it would be cool.
Let me give you the scenario that this came up, and we're talking about maybe next year again. And he may not be able to schedule next year's game up. He gives himself a deadline, somewhere in the spring, January, February, March. And if he's dealing with an opening in his 2026 schedule in January and February, things might get a little pesky. Let's say he puts into his fancy little database, I need a one-off on this specific date in 2026. It shows him 4 teams that are available. So maybe there aren't a lot of teams available this time of year, that close to that game. And maybe they're all 4 SEC teams. Well, that's, they're not going to get an SEC team to come to play Boise in a one-off.
No,
because Jeramiah Dickey also wants, and he's been very open and very adamant about this, and this will happen, I think, next year, unless things get really squirrely, 7 home games. So he wants it to be a 7th home game next year. Home games at Boise State, guys, and this has been the number for a while, and I did confirm this with Jeremiah today. Home games are worth about $750,000 to Boise State. That's how much profit, that's how much revenue they make, not profit. That's how much revenue they make from a home game. Tickets, parking, concessions, whatever else you want to throw in there, about $750,000. So, if he's got a whole bunch of SEC, things that match his criteria, that's not going to happen. So he's looking for the one-off. And maybe you could dip into the FCS. Would you rather play Washington State in a home-and-home, or would you rather play a crappy FCS team? I mean, it kind of comes down to that. And he doesn't, let me clarify this. Jeramiah Dickey doesn't want to play a constant stream of the same opponent twice in one season. When he told me that today, I cringed. And I said, Oregon State and Washington State's doing that this year. And he goes, I know. And he says, you know who else does it all the time? He says, professionals, the NFL. And guess what the college football is now? It's professional. It's NFL. I'm paying my players all the time. Everybody says college football is becoming pro football. And it really, truly is right now. And that's a natural part of pro football. So if he needs to, why couldn't he adopt that for a 1-year type of deal? If it ever happens in the next 6 months, if Jeramiah Dickey comes out and says, okay, we're playing this team twice next year, I can hear it now. Prater, Ballgame, Frank, 27,000 fans, all whining and moaning and complaining. I came away today with a little bit more sympathy for the process of putting that together. And if it came down to a one-off, I don't think I would have a problem with that.
You have said to me a lot off the air about how, well, leaving the Mountain West is leaving a lot of, rubbish behind, and they're moving up where they're taking the top end of the Mountain West and moving into this new Pac-12. But what would be the worst thing in the world with playing one of the Mountain West holdovers once instead of one of those FCS?
He's got no problem with that.
Oh, okay. I mean,
but who says any of them are available next year on that specific date?
Well, I mean, we don't know who's available and who's not, right? I mean, we're just
you could look that up. But how about this? My question: if the team you play twice, if it is Washington State, are they both league games?
No, one's a league game and one's a non-con.
One's a league game and one isn't. It's just another game. It's a non-con.
Now that I say that, I think that's how that works. I think that's what's going on this year with that. Well, it doesn't matter with
those two. It doesn't matter
not this year.
So I don't know how they work that out. It probably would be one would be a league game, one wouldn't. I know there's a lot of that happens in football. I've seen it at way lower levels when they have to do that. If it's a fun series, hell yeah, I don't care if you play them twice. But as Greg did say, it's a lot of teams in FBS college football, 138 of them. Too bad, you'd like to think you could find a different opponent than doubling up on a year. And as far across the pond or whatever it is, globally, so Prater, you went to Dickey scheduling school today. He showed you kind of how the sauce is made or the sausage is made on scheduling. And Jeramiah Dickey, you think and when he's serious about something, stuff happens. You think he's really serious about taking this football program to a different continent or a different country and playing a football game? Super serious?
Yeah, super serious. But he also realizes the logistics and the limitations of it. He thinks it would be fantastic. He thinks it would be a lot of fun, and he wants to try to pull this off now. He's very, very, very sensitive to, the student athlete experience. He's very sensitive to the impact of the football team it has on him. Very sympathetic to a fan base, depending on the destination. I think a Boise State fan base could, the fancy place where people are going to play college football the last couple of years has been Ireland.
Yeah.
Let's say Boise State plays somebody in Ireland. There's going to be 3,000 to 5,000 Boise State fans that are going to want to go hang out in Ireland. And I think that would be a really, really cool experience. And it'll be on TV. Here's the deal, guys. And it's not so much Boise State spending the money to do it. There are promoters out there that put these things together. When Georgia Tech goes to Ireland to play Florida State or whatever, that there's third-party promoters that put that stuff together. Third-party promoters who get involved, risk their money. It's not a risk. The Boise State's going to spend all this money flying internationally and put the football program budget behind that. That's not going to happen. There's a lot of other tentacles there. So he sent the basketball team overseas. He sent the women's basketball team overseas. I think the women's basketball team spent some time in Greece this year.
Yeah.
Obviously, that wasn't for a regular season game. That was for a 10-day training camp and games and an exhibition series of schedules. So it's happening more and more. Colleges have been doing that for 20, 30, 40 years. I think you get to go, you get to take your team overseas like every 3 years
or 4 or 5,
yeah,
one of
something
those
like
deals.
that. Yeah. So I think it'd be fun. I think it would be spectacular. The power of international travel is massive. You're going to be able to tell 80 dudes, hey, you got to go to here or here or here or here, and it's going to change your life. And Spencer Danielson is in the business of changing young men's lives, and Spencer and Jeramiah Dickey is in the business of doing different things. And I think it would be cool. The 2 games, the 2 opponents in the same season, I am not on board with that. If it happens next year, I understand it a little bit more. I'm all for this international thing. I want to see this happen in 2027.
You mentioned the promoters and the third parties that are involved in these international games. I'm curious, how attractive do you think Boise State is to these promoters in terms of, who they get over there to play in these games? Because obviously it does feel like it's mostly P4 program. So what is the kind of the selling points here for the Boise State program? And is this a real possibility where the powers that be would be highly interested in making it happen with Boise State?
I don't want to speak for anybody else, but I think so. I think that they would be into that a little bit, but
I would think so.
I mean, Boise State.
I think it's a brand. It's a big enough brand. I mean, they took K-State and Iowa State.
That's
I know
true.
they're
It's not like they're taking
P4s,
the
but
elite
dude,
P4s.
that's Manhattan, Kansas, and Ames, Iowa. Boise's bigger than those 2 towns put together, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Boise's the national brand is tied through the blue turf, and obviously you're going to go play a football game that has nothing to do with the blue turf.
Yep.
But everybody knows that Boise State is the team that plays on the blue turf. And if 0 week, and here's the other deal, with the college football playoff format, we don't know how much 0 week is going to be pushed back, or if 0 week's even going to exist anymore. So we'll see how that plays out. But if you could get a 0 week game with Boise State, if you wake up on 0 week Saturday, last weekend of July, first weekend of August, last weekend of August, first weekend of September, probably the last weekend of August, and at 10 o'clock in the morning on ESPN, Boise State's playing UCLA. That'd be kind of fun.
I'm in. Yeah, sign me up. Derek Schumann. What an honor Shu will have. The Boise State, the Eagle High legend, the local fireman, Derek Schumann. He hops on our Taco Bell hotline when we return on KTIK The Ticket.
From the Beacon Plumbing Traffic Studio, this is Ticket Traffic.
Still slow trying to get out of